a compact version of the AK-12 modular weapon system. It uses the same receiver and bolt, yet the barrel and gas system are shortened, which results in a slightly higher rate of fire and a slower muzzle velocity, similar to the AKS-74U's 700-ish meter per second muzzle velocity. This version of the AK-12 was intended to replace both the AKS-74U that I just mentioned and the AKS-105 carbines. But since the Ratnik trials, the AK-12 system has seen some serious changes and overall improvements in ergonomics, reliability and control. That being said, the concept does seem superior to its predecessors, especially accounting for the improved control of the new gas system that accepts standard prototype AK-12 muzzle brakes, and the full-length top Picatinny rail that facilitates the addition of Western-type optics that rely on this system for mounting, contrary to the previous systems which used the side quick detach rail that we can see on AKS-74U, on the AK-74M, and the AK-100 series. Adding in the fact that the AKu-12 also has the same high rate of fire 3-round burst fire mode of its full-sized counterpart, which somewhat mimics the hyper 2-round burst of the AN-94 Abakan, thus giving the AKu-12 anti-body armor capabilities in CQB circumstances. These characteristics, combined with the compactness and lightweight characteristics of the AKu, make this carbine an ideal weapon system for special ops units like Spetsnaz Alpha Grupa and MVD operators. In-game, the AKu-12 has similar stats to its assault rifle counterpart. Some considerable differences are easily spotted though. So let's take a look at those. The AKu deals 24 damage up to 8 meters and the drop-off ends at 50 meters, then dealing 15.4, making a carbine a 5-shot kill up to 27 meters and a 2-shot headshot up to 12, thus reducing the optimal range of the AKu substantially, much like most carbines in game. Recoil is exactly the same as its counterpart. Spread-wise, the AKu is mildly inferior to the AK-12, having a base spread of 0.3 and an increase of 0.088, but being a carbine, the moving spread is only of 0.8, and with a spread decrease of 13.4 per second. The AKu-12 has one of the best grouping patterns of its category, further improved by a muzzle velocity of 500 meters per second, giving the AKu the ability of accurately engaging moving targets while the shooter himself is on the move. It should also be noted that the AKu-12 on full auto fires at 680 rounds per minute, and as long as you, as the shooter, fires first and true, you should be able to outgun some of the other high rate of fire weapons in the game, counting that we're talking about carbines and assault rifles not chambered for a higher impact, higher damage module, say the Groza 1 or the Bulldog / Scar H. You're probably not going to fare well against those anyway. Still, as with all AK pattern guns in BF4, guerrilla tactics might be a good bet, since the reload time isn't the best, taking 3.3 seconds on empty and 2.4 with one in a chamber. Fun fact, when empty, the reload animation is known as the AK underroll. Now, there is always room for improvement, and to be honest, that 750 round per minute burst fire, same as with the AK-12, is kinda useless. I honestly think that DICE should really consider the possibility of increasing the rate of fire of this gun on burst fire to 1000. Same, say, basically make it as it was in the beta for the AK-12, but add in a delay, same as with the AN-94. Now 700 rounds per minute, same as with the AK-12. Since we're firing 3 rounds, that makes a 2 burst at all ranges, with the AK-12, and well, at longer ranges you're still gonna have to 3 burst people with the AKU, but then again, this is not meant to be used over 40 meters away. I don't think it's really that effective beyond those ranges. It is a carbine after all. Carbine, sorry. Now, I say a 650 burst per minute delay would be more or less in line with what would be feasible. Now, I play on console, and really there is somewhat of a limitation on how fast you can really pull the trigger. I can get close to 700 with 700 bursts per minute with the AN-94 when I'm using it, but I'm still not sure I am downright nailing that perfect rate of fire. That perfect intervals. I have a pretty good trigger finger, but there is a limit there. Now, another thing could be done to it, and I do think that the AK pattern, the AK-12 pattern guns in BF4 still need some serious love. And another thing that could also be done for the AKu-12, basically increase it 20 rounds per minute the rate of fire, and while at it also increase another 30 rounds per minute rate of fire on the AK-12, since it says in the description that the AK-12 fires at 680, whilst in fact it's only firing at 650, thus making the gun quite useless on full auto. You really might as well run it on burst fire only. That is not true with the AKu-12. It's actually ironic on how useless the burst fire is with the AKu-12 and how useful the full auto is. Only that 30 round per minute difference there. But the truth is, while using the carbine in burst fire, I don't know why, but it didn't feel as consistent as the full-fledged assault rifle in burst fire. I honestly think that the right way to run the AK-12 is on burst fire. Now, another reason to increase the burst fire and somewhat give it the same properties, in a way, the same ups and downs of the AN-94's burst fire, basically give it another bit of competitive in that category between those two guns. And also bring in a gun that people might look at and say, I'd rather use this over the M16. I mean, you don't see anybody running the AK-12. Maybe just a couple of new players who are just now picking up the game, and this is what they have. It's an AK-12. And then they unlock the AKu-12 and they recognize the gun, and they seem like they can do well with it. They might feel more comfortable with this gun on console due to its low recoil than, say, for example, an ACWR with its pretty pungent up and to the left recoil, which is quite awkward. I always have trouble compensating for up and to the left recoils because it just doesn't make sense. Let's be honest here. If I'm shouldering the gun on my right shoulder, as we can see in the gameplay, yeah, that recoil impulse should be transmitted through the buttstock to my right shoulder. Thus the gun would climb up and to the right. Now, but that Battlefield still has some ways to go for perfect achievement of realism. And let's be honest here, some of the things we really not really desirable. I'll have a little bit of a gripe with the shotguns lately, but I will make a video about that sooner or later as well. Now, getting back to the AKU, I really like this gun. One of my favorite carbines. I actually do not know how the hell I have more kills with the ACWR than I have with this gun. Because it seems to me as the ACWR is one of those guns I just do not enjoy using. I just don't like it. Whilst this, I love using it. It's pinpoint accurate. And the rate of fire, although it might seem at first a little bit too slow, it doesn't really matter because you're hitting every single shot. As long as you maintain yourself within 40 meters of engagement. I mean, look at that. I have no problem hitting targets who actually have little or nothing exposed. And I just have a little bit of a glimpse to shoot them. Well guys, hope you enjoyed my AKu-12 review. This was Rottweiler Red, signing off. You guys have a nice one.